You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Today, we are talking about obesogens, and it is a Bite of Knowledge Monday. If you're new to the show, every Monday we come out with smaller clips that are called Bites of Knowledge. And then on Wednesdays, we have a longer interview podcast. So today, as I mentioned, we are talking about obesogens, what they are, where they're found, and what they actually do to the body, because surprisingly, a lot of people don't know about them, and you may be doing all the things to losing weight, keeping weight off, and you're like, what am I doing? I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm doing all of the things, and it could be something that you're not eating, but maybe it's something that you're actually exposed to. Maybe it's in your shampoos, maybe it's in your food containers, shampoos, your lotions, and these are actually affecting the way that we look, surprisingly. We're also going to talk about how to minimize our exposure from obesogens and the ways we can do that, the best ways to protect ourselves, the type of water we should be drinking, the type of basically everything that we can do in our means to protect ourselves from these chemicals. But before we get into this episode, shout out to podcast listener and reviewer JNova1123. They rated the show 5 stars, titled it So Informative. They wrote, each of Bethany's podcasts is so rich with quality information. I love listening to the Q&As, especially because they cover so many different topics. Glory to God, Jesus Christ, for this page. It's truly helping so many people with their health, finding real food and products to nourish our bodies with and care for ourselves is so hard to find these days. Thank you so much for that wonderful review. And if you haven't done so, I do encourage you to place a review and rating yourself. And I love reading them and knowing that it truly is helping those out there to better their health. So let's get into the show. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is buying air fryers, and for good reason. They're faster than an oven, and you can use little to no oil and still achieve the crispiness on your fries and food without the grease. But sadly, most air fryers on the market are full of forever chemicals like PFAS, PFOAs, lead, or even cadmium. But our place is different. Their Wonder Oven not only air fries, but toasts, bakes, broils, and roasts. That's right, you can roast an entire chicken and even bake cookies in it. It preheats 75% faster and cooks up to 30% faster than traditional ovens, so you can whip up dinner in no time. I have their original Wonder Oven in the color Spice, but they have other colors, and they even came out with a larger Wonder Oven if you have a larger family and want to cook up more food. I don't even own a toaster. We just use this to toast our bread to perfection. So if you're buying quality food and ingredients like grass-fed meat and organic produce, but still cooking with pots and pans containing forever chemicals, then all your efforts to eat clean kind of just went out the window, because what you cook your quality food in can contaminate it if you're not using clean cookware, bakeware, and air fryers. Thankfully, our place has them all without the no-no materials. Go to our place today and use code DIGEST at checkout to receive 10% off site-wide. They have a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free returns. So you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. Go to FromOurPlace.com/digest and use code DIGEST. So what are obesogens? Now, obesogens are chemicals that could influence or promote obesity in humans as well as animals, and there's no argument that obesity rates are on the rise. In fact, by 2030, that's less than 7 years away, you guys, half of the population is predicted to be obese. Not just overweight, but obese, which is an actual health concern, and obesity causes tons of other health issues. Recent studies are beginning to look at the environmental factors that may contribute to this, which are called obesogens. These chemicals are found in everyday household items like food containers, toys, cookware, personal care products, and cleaning agents. And because they're present in such a wide range of sources, we are getting bombarded from all areas, and accumulation from multiple sources is easy to obtain if we're not careful and mindful of what we put in, on, and around our body. Now, when these chemicals enter your body, they may alter the energy balance regulation to favor weight gain. This is according to a study found in the National Institute of Medicine. So today I'm covering some of the most common obesogens, how they may affect us, and how to minimize our exposure to these chemicals. First off is, how do obesogens function? Now, they are considered an endocrine disrupting chemical. This means that they can interfere with your endocrine system and thus your hormones. And because endocrine organs and hormones help regulate your metabolism and body weight, your endocrine system plays an essential role in energy balance and fat storage. According to multiple studies, obesogens may promote obesity by increasing the number of fat cells, increasing the storage of fat in existing fat cells, altering the rate of fat cell production versus destruction, shifting energy balance to favor calorie storage, changing the basal metabolic rate, which is BMR, which is how many calories your body needs to fulfill its basic functions, altering gut microbiota to promote food storage, and lastly, modifying hormonal control of appetite and fullness. Research has also found evidence of endocrine disrupting chemicals in the placenta and the umbilical cord, suggesting that human exposure to obesogens starts as early as the mother's womb. Exposure to these chemicals in such early stages of development may influence obesity later in life. It could also increase the risk of diseases like diabetes and metabolic syndrome because the enzymes involved in their elimination are not yet fully functional. This is again according to multiple studies sourced from the NIH. And the impact of prenatal exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals on a fetus's metabolism is so important and impactful, it may even be transmitted to future generations. Now, there are many types of obesogens or endocrine disrupting chemicals. One you've probably heard of, it's BPAs. Now, BPA is a synthetic compound used to make plastic and different types of food storage containers, even beverage cans, and even cans that are like canned food, canned beans, things like that. So thus it's found in numerous food and beverage containers. It has a similar structure to the estradiol, which is the main female sex hormone. And since estradiol is a type of estrogen, BPA easily binds to these estrogen-related receptors in the body. And according to a test tube and animal studies, this may induce insulin resistance, inflammation, oxidative stress, and promote the formation of fat cells. Humans are largely exposed to BPA when eating food stored or reheated in BPA-lined containers. And because the compound is not fully attached to plastic, it can leach into your food as a result of changes in pH and temperature. BPA has sadly been found in newborns, children, and of course, adults. It can be measured in bodily fluids and tissues such as blood, urine, saliva, breast milk, and fatty tissue. Now, this is something kind of cool. If you want to test yourself to see if you have accumulated BPAs, there's actually at-home urine test kits you can purchase online. One I found is from home-health-chemistry.com, where they actually sell these kits for only like $30, and it's a pretty fair price if you ask me. They also have other at-home test kits for detecting lead, mercury, cadmium, chromium, parabens, all sorts of things. And those are also for about $30. And what I really like about these tests is that you get instant results. So you don't have to send it back to a mystery lab and wait to get the results. You get the results in your home instantly. So I'll be sure to put that link in today's show notes so you can check it out and see if this is something you want to test for yourself and for your family. Now, while research suggests that BPA may cause harm at high levels, the Food and Drug Administration considers BPA safe as long as the amounts are small. However, according to a study published in the NIH, the levels of BPAs found in the general population is linked with increased prevalence of obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Another obesogen are phthalates. Now, these are a group of man-made chemicals used to make plastics more durable and flexible. They're present in toys, medical devices, food packaging, detergents, soaps, shampoos, nail polish lotions, and perfumes. The most common phthalates is DEHP, and that's a chemical that binds to receptors of the main male sex hormone. This impairs testosterone synthesis, resulting in effects that may contribute to the development of obesity. Phthalates may also affect hormone receptors called PPARs and other cell signaling pathways involved in our metabolism. The primary form of exposure is consuming food and beverages that have been in contact with phthalate-containing products. Phthalate particles in dust are also a significant source of exposure, and most test tube and animal studies support that DEHP and other phthalates affect the development of obesity and type 2 diabetes. And adults aren't the only ones affected. Studies in children have linked these compounds to increased body mass index and obesity risk. Phthalates are found almost everywhere and have been detected in over 75% of the US population. But the CDC states that the levels found in our everyday products won't necessarily cause harmful health effects. And the FDA even claims that there is insufficient evidence to say that phthalates in particular pose a safety risk. This is quite concerning to me because since 2017, Europe banned tons of different types of phthalates like DINP, DIDP, and DNOP, which are, again, different types of phthalates used in children's products. And even on the fact sheet on the Prop 65 warning website, they state, and I quote, DINP is on the Proposition 65 list because it can cause cancer. Exposure to DINP may increase the risk of cancer. DINP can be greatly released from consumer products into indoor environments such as homes, schools, daycare centers, offices, and cars. It settles on floors and other surfaces and can accumulate in dust and air. Exposure can result from contact with products containing DINP. Low levels of DINP have been detected in some foods that have been in contact with plastics during processing and packaging. During pregnancy, DINP can pass from mother to baby. End quote. So, I'll let you be the judge on whether you want to believe the CDC and the FDA or other research out there on phthalates. Now, another endocrine disruptor or obesogen is atrazine, which I've actually talked about this on my Instagram before, not in regards to obesogens though, but atrazine is a widely used herbicide in the United States. And though drinking water is not a frequent source of human exposure, atrazine is one of the most commonly found pesticides in surface and groundwaters in regions where it is used. So like BPA and phthalates, atrazine has hormonal altering effects and it reduces the sexual production and function in humans. According to the NIH, animal studies show that long-term exposure to atrazine may increase the risk of obesity and insulin resistance. Research has also shown that overall herbicide exposure has a potential effect on chronic diseases such as diabetes, cancer, and birth disabilities. It's pretty evident that we live in an environment our biology was never designed for. EMFs, artificial light, seed oils, microplastics, endocrine disruptors, chronic stress, those are just to name a few. And these everyday modern assaults disrupt cellular signaling, negatively impacting our gut health and accelerating aging. Arma colostrum revives cellular signaling, bolstering our health from within to defend against everyday threats. Colostrum is nature's first whole food with 400 bioactive nutrients that work at the cellular level to reactivate your body's innate capacity to regenerate and thrive. So if you're ready to try what so many are already taking daily, we've worked out a special offer for my audience to receive 30% off your first subscription order. Just go to armra.com/digest or enter code digest to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's armra.com/digest. Organotins are another obesogen, and these are a class of industrial compounds. One of them is called TBT, and it's the active ingredient in antifungal paint applied to boats and ships to prevent the growth of marine organisms. Sadly, it's released into the water and deposited in sediments, contaminating many lakes and coastal waters. Test tube studies have shown that TBT promotes the formation of fat cells, while animal studies have demonstrated that its exposure results in increased fat accumulation and reduced muscle mass. Animal studies also show that when mice are exposed to TBT throughout pregnancy and lactation, third and fourth generation male offspring have more and larger fat cells. Now, PFOAs are probably something you've heard before, and PFOA it's used in waterproofing clothing, nonstick cookware, stain repellent, and microwavable food items. The main source of human exposure to PFOAs is contaminated water sources. Once ingested, it can remain in your body for long periods of time, according to the CDC. Now, like phthalates, PFOAs activates the certain receptors in your body that aid in fat metabolism. Studies in mice suggest that those exposed to PFOAs before birth had higher chances of developing obesity when they reached adulthood, as well as increased insulin, leptin, and body weight. Now, this is something we really don't think about, but cigarette smoke is also considered an obesogen, and exposure to cigarette smoke is the cause of many health issues just in general, but obesity is definitely one of them and not really talked about as often. Babies born to smoking mothers are often underweight, but tend to put on more weight during infancy all the way through adolescence. All right, so now that we've talked about the different types of obesogens, let's talk about how to minimize our exposure to them. And while it's unlikely we'll be able to avoid all obesogens altogether just from the toxic world we live in, I mean, it's clearly just impossible. However, there are a few simple things we can all do to reduce our exposure. So get something to write with and take note on these next steps and takeaways to minimize exposure. If you're driving in the car, obviously keep driving, and you can always go back and reference this episode. You could save this episode as well. That way it's easy to find to go back and reference too. So ways to minimize exposure. Number one, avoid foods stored in plastic. Use glass containers and bottles. Do not microwave plastics. In fact, using the microwave in general should be limited or avoided altogether. Use clean cosmetics and skincare products. You can always go to the EWG's website and look up your personal care items you currently use to see the rating of the toxicity, or find a new brand on their website that they recommend. I personally use Dime Beauty skincare, and I can leave a link for 20% off their products in today's show notes as well. I think my code is Little Sipper for Dime Beauty. Love their skincare. Next up would be just like when using products in plastic, look for containers that are BPA and phthalate free. So again, if it is in plastic, it should say, like BPA free and things like that. Another easy tip and swap is use fragrance-free products such as hand soaps, laundry detergents, cleaning products, and I personally don't even wear perfumes. I will also leave a list of the non-toxic cleaning products that I use and laundry detergents in today's show notes as well. And I believe I have a code for them all, which should save you a good amount of money too. So another tip, throw away all your candles unless they are 100% natural and use essential oils. Choose non-toxic cookware. Again, I will put a link to the cookware that I love and use in today's show notes. Do not purchase stain-resistant or flame-retardant carpets or furniture. Make sure that you're sleeping on a good, clean mattress. And I don't mean like surface clean. I mean toxic-free clean mattress. I have one. I have to go look. I got it back in 2020. It's amazing. It's non-toxic and it's so comfy. Another tip, use quality water. Like drink quality water. Use a quality water filter that you can trust, not just a random one. I personally use AquaTrue. My husband actually introduced it to me when we first started dating, and I've never looked back since. Other water tastes completely different to me now, and I hate to be like one of those water snobs, but honestly, I have to bring my own water bottle wherever I go now because our water filter legit removes all the chemicals and impurities, so much so that it even removes all the minerals, including the good minerals. So we buy natural mineral drops and add them back into our water, which I personally don't mind at all. I will also, again, include a link in today's show notes, which should automatically get you a discount on the water filter I use if you just click directly through that link. Now, last but certainly not least, eat fresh foods whenever possible, avoiding processed snacks, meals, and other processed, quote, food. Of course, eating a well-balanced diet, exercising, getting enough high-quality sleep, and managing stress remains the most important factors when it comes to your health. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Bite of Knowledge, and if you did, please share it with just one of your friends. Sharing the podcast on social media and tagging me at Lil Sipper on Instagram is something I love seeing. So I encourage you to take a screenshot of this episode and post it in your Instagram stories, tagging me so I can see that you listened. I'll see you guys this Wednesday for our interview episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.
Are you ready to rock middle age? I'm Dr. Tina Moore, Gen X truth teller and holistic physician. On the Dr. Tina Show, one of Apple Podcast's top alternative health shows, I share what actually works for metabolic health, hormones, and strength, backed by decades of clinical results, not trends. From loving the gym and hitting your protein goals to peptides and microdosing GLP-1s, it's all done the right way, not the hype way. Because menopause doesn't have to suck if you're fit. New episodes every Thursday, produced by Drake Peterson and Wellness Loud.